All right, man. This is episode number 47 of the Cozy Corner of Cinema. This is being recorded on Sunday, February 19th, 2023 at 3:01 p.m. Hope your guys' week has been fantastic. I hope you guys have been working on whatever it is you need to work on, your goals, your dreams. I hope you can look back at any accomplishments that you have and go, "All right, man, we're making progress, man, that we need to." I know I certainly have, man. I tell you, this past week has been phenomenal in terms of accomplishing what I needed to accomplish. The writing has gone fantastically. I'm the kind of guy where, if I'm writing, man, I gotta be in the zone. I gotta, get rid of all the outside distractions, get off social media. Not that I'm on social media, but if you're on it, just get off it, man. Focus on whatever it is you need to focus on. If you need to put on music or get any kind of inspiration that you need to keep the progress going, then do it, man. Um, I found myself, in a good position right now in my life where, because I work by myself, that gives me the opportunity to constantly be thinking and constantly drawing inspiration. I love listening to a lot of music at work, all kinds of music, and in turn that ends up, I putting visuals in my head to pieces of audio. If this paired together, this would be good here. Or, oh man, actually, this piece of music is drawing me this idea that I'm going to use later. That's fantastic. Whatever it is, man, whatever it is you can find inspiration from, then just go towards it, man. Geez Louise, man, I actually got out of work a little bit ago, so if you'll excuse me for a second, I'm going to have a can of this. All right, man. But, at the end of the day, what it all comes down to is having the routine that whatever it is, whatever routine that you need to go about your daily life and to get what you need to get done. Now, the thing is, though, man, is that you got to question, you got to ask yourself, are you actually going to uh, want to accomplish these goals? A lot of people want to do a lot of things. I want to be a famous rock star. I want to be a famous actor. I want to, scale a mountain. I want to do this and I want to do that. And my first question, anytime anybody tells me that, my first question, man, is, well, what are you doing to work on that? And I'll tell you, more times than not, I get, well, it's just a pipe dream, or nothing really about it. Maybe one day, man, maybe one day. What the hell are you talking about? That's today, What the hell are you talking about? Maybe one day, maybe we're gonna be dead one day, That's why we're given the time we are given, which isn't a lot of time. It's not enough time, but we all get 24 hours, and it all matters what we do with that 24 hours. We all have different circumstances. We all have different obligations, but it's important, man, to work on what it is you need to work on for your artistic endeavors, man. You talk to people and you ask them what you want to do with their life, and they don't want to do anything, man. They just, they're content with just spending the weekend, just going to the pub and just drifting and going on social media. And hey, man, I'm a firm believer, and as long as you're happy doing what you're doing, then it ain't my position or my right to tell you how to live your life. If that's what you want to do and you're happy doing it, then you've already succeeded in life, and I wish only but the best for you. Where the problem comes in is that people want to do these great things. I want to be a filmmaker. I want to make these great films. All right, man. Well, you going out and you filming anything? You writing screenplays? You studying the craft at all? What are you drawing inspiration from? They're like, well, I don't have time, man. Man, you ain't ever gonna have time. It's all about what you do with those pockets of time that you get, man. You kidding me? I mean, come on, man. You think that some of the greatest filmmakers of all time, just kind of, were given, hey, man, here's a boatload of money, here's a boatload of time, do whatever you want with it. That ain't gonna happen, man. You look at the great filmmakers of the 70s, a lot of these up and coming kids, the Scorseses, the Coppolas, the Lynch's, Bogdanovich's. You know what they did, man? They went out there and they did it. They all came from different backgrounds, and they're all legends now. And we enjoy their art, and we take in their art, and it influences us and future generations of artists and all that, man. So you gotta just really be focused. If you want to do something, you gotta be headstrong in doing it, man. Because ain't no one gonna do it for you. And if you're waiting for somebody to do it for you, you've been waiting a long time, man. You might as well get in the coffin right now. Ain't much of a life to live, I tell you, man. But with that said, writing's going fantastically right now. It's going so well, man. Uh, let me tell you, man, incredible experience yesterday. I had just finished a book that a family member had gotten me for Christmas. I'd gotten a couple books for Christmas, and it's taken me until now to finish all of them. So about a month and some change and all that. And I needed a new book, so I was gonna, I like Barnes and Noble because I like the atmosphere. It's very laid back. Every time, the staff there are nice. Everyone's cool. They got a good selection of books. You see people just sitting in chairs and taking in all this literature, and people hanging out at the cafe, talking about their lives, talking about their goals. People maybe buy the magazines, looking at the newest issue of whatever, interest they have in film or music or, geography or architecture or anything. Not geography, that's not the right word. You know what I mean, man. They're taking it all in. It's a great atmosphere, but sometimes it's a little bit easier. It's not as easy to pull the trigger sometimes on buying books in terms of buying brand new books, because I go through books fairly quickly, man. I've kind of gone back and forth between reading multiple at once and then reading one at a time, and right now I'm at the point where I'm reading one at a time just because I like to stay totally focused on one subject or one idea, whereas before, if I'm bouncing between multiples, then I am less I find myself feeling like I'm slagging behind, which is totally a personal thing. I most of the readers that I know read multiple books at once, and it works for them, but it just doesn't work as well for me, I've noticed. But with that said, so I needed a new book, and I was determined to. I had a couple in mind, the new Paul Newman biography. I've been hearing some really good things about. I still haven't had an opportunity to, or I still haven't read, I should say. I have had opportunities, but I haven't taken them on to read Quentin Tarantino's new book, Cinema Speculation, which is one I've been really wanting to read. And I was kind of, I thought about, I'm going to go and get that one. But I looked at the price. It's a little price, about $30, which is a little much for a book that, I could have easily went online and bought it. But what I like to do, and I'm not a big, I really hate going out and shopping. I hate, what I hate, man? I hate when people are like, hey, let's just go and let's just look around. Like, look around, man. What the hell are you talking about? You want to look around, man. You got a whole internet of things that are peaked to your interest, man. I don't ever want to go to a place to just look around. If I'm going to a bookstore, man, I'm leaving with a book, If that's my intention, I ain't going to go to a toy store if I don't play with toys, man, just to look at the games. Get out of here, man. Life's too short for that sort of thing. But I went, I didn't go to Barnes & Noble. I went to this other bookstore, this used bookstore that was nearby. I hadn't been to. I think I'd heard about, but I hadn't. But so I thought, you know what, man, I have time today. Let me go to this used bookstore, because months ago I went to a different used bookstore and was rewarded for my for going off the beaten path. That's where I found that terrific Howard Hawks biography. It just completely engrossing, and just loved it. And man, it's just that feeling of being overwhelmed by the amount of books there. Like, what direction am I gonna take? So I go to this new bookstore, man. This new to me, I should say. It's been there for some time, and it's right from the get-go, it's like picturesque. The parking lot is hidden in this woodsy area. In fact, I missed the street at first. I had to actually go back, and it's covered. The trees are just. The sun going through the trees just illuminating. It was a beautiful sunny day, and you get there's all these shops in this one little farm area. There's a ballet studio, there's a craft area, and I was like, man, this is already like something out of out of a novel or something. I was gonna say a Jane Austen novel. That ain't right. Who am I thinking of? Not Jane Austen. But anyways, man. So I go around this corner. And, it's a good sign right there. It's a table of free books. This literature is free. And I thought, oh, right, this is already a good sign, man. And I walk right through, and the pure sea of books ahead, just asking you the biggest question. Where do you want to be taken? Where do you want to be taken this next time in your life? What will you devote your time to? You can devote it to so many different things, to science fiction, to poetry, to studies of any political studies, whatever it is, and it was a beautiful sight. A gentleman behind the counter greeted me, and I just in that moment I realized, man, this is what it's about. and I'm going through, man, because I'm looking for the film section, man. That's what I'm there for. And I'm walking through and I'm seeing all these great piles and these shelves of books. You have political studies here, and you have mystery and true crime here, and you have encyclopedias of specific topics, and then you go to the back, man, and there's a laser disc, and it's strung from a ceiling, almost like inviting you. The reflection immediately catches your eye. It says, "Come on, man, this is where the knowledge is at." And I go over there, and it was completely engrossing. You look at the shelves, it was film studies, biographies, film references, world cinema, and in that moment, the pure, overwhelming, just adrenaline hits you. Not adrenaline in a way where you want to run around and go act like a madman, but adrenaline. And wow, what knowledge will I gain today, man? Filmmakers like Romer and Truffaut and Bergman and Hitchcock and Sayles, all these terrific filmmakers, and you want to read about him or her or them. Oh my gosh, man, it was completely just. It was a moment that cannot be replicated in another way. It's a true out-of-body experience that once you realize you're in it, it is a high like no other. It is an intoxication like no other, that you are surrounded by all this great wealth of knowledge, and it's up to you to decide what direction you are going to put your time into. And let me tell you, man, I walked out with some books, and I've been smiling ever since, man. In fact, one of the books that I picked up was a biography on experimental filmmaker Kenneth Anger. Kenneth Anger is somebody who has always been very interesting to me. I haven't seen many of his shorts, but the names have always stayed with you. Scorpio Rising, Lucifer Rising, Invocation of My Demon Brother, and he was involved with notable figures like Anton LaVey and Bobby Busliol. How do you say his name? Busliol? I don't know how to say his name, man. And he's, man, it's just, I'm reading this book, and my gosh, man, it is truly, it's like there's a light that shined onto this building, this bookstore, and it said, you're going to want to go over here, man, and been thankful ever since. It's crazy, but Kenneth Anger's still alive, man. He was born, 1937? Yeah, man, he's 96 now. Holy moly, man. Talk about somebody who's lived a full life. When this book started out and they were talking about life in the 20s and 30s, I'm like, oh my gosh, man. Now, I think this book was written in sometime in the 90s, to my knowledge. I might be wrong about that. I don't remember where the copyright was. But it's a fascinating portrayal so far of just this outsider out the beating path. This is just this artist who is doing this very strange work. It's a very experimental work, a lot of experimental cinema, I find myself, either being very engaged to or being very disengaged in terms of, experimental, not necessarily in a linear or narrative fashion, but experimental in how a film is portrayed. There's experimental filmmakers like, I guess even to, Andy Warhol did a different type of experimental filmmaking. But I look at it more so as not exactly what a cliche would come to mind in terms of this kind of filmmaking. I'm talking about filmmaking where if there is a narrative, then it is told in a completely unique and different way, or blurring the line between reality and fantasy. What is that? I watched recently Symbiopsychotaxoplasm Take One, and what a fascinating experimental, almost non-linear at times, quasi-documentary, fictitious story. It's completely interesting in its own right, but by some sort of chance or some sort of, and I also going back to the point before when I was talking about the Howard Hawks book, is that because of reading that book, it has made me more aware to check out his films. When I scroll through TCM every week, I scroll through TCM and I record X amount of films that I need to, and being aware of films like Sergeant York with Gary Cooper and Only Angels Have Wings with Cary Grant, two films that I hadn't been too familiar with previously, but since I read that book, you bet your butt I was on them. And you know what? I liked them both. They're both fantastic films. And with Kenneth Anger's work, I know I'm going to have to see some more of his short films. I think a lot of his early ones are not available to my knowledge. I think it was pre-Fireworks that are not available to the public. But he's a name that has kind of gone beyond just the underground and gone beyond the experimental. He is a name that, in his own right, well, actually, outside of the filmmaking as well, the whole, the his both of his Hollywood Babylon books, very controversial for a number of reasons. Actually, there was that podcast. What the hell was that podcast, man? Gosh, I wish I remember the name of it. It was an interesting podcast that I was going through the episodes, and they were going through different parts of Hollywood Babylon and speculating upon whether or not it had any base in reality, because Hollywood Babylon is famously, to my knowledge, mostly false, But I shouldn't even get too much into it until I really complete the novel itself. But let me tell you, man, that's the rewards that you reap when you go off the beaten path and you take your own path in life, man. You do your thing. You could have played it safe and went to Barnes & Noble and gotten the book, but I decided to go off and try something different, man. And now I reap the benefits and the rewards. And you should do the same, and you can do the same. I mean, a word that comes to mind when talking about Kenneth Anger is transgressive, this kind of outsider art, and in a chance of destiny or fate or whatever it may be, I came across the work of controversial artist Peter Soto's, because I had been originally familiar with his work with Jamie Gillis, adult actor Jamie Gillis, and the book that he wrote, that is Peter Soto's, what's it called? Pure Filth, I think it's called. Let me actually look that up here because I want to make sure I get that right. Yeah, it's Pure Filth. It says by Jamie Gillis and Peter Soto's. I think it's fairly out of print to my knowledge, but Peter Soto's as well. That's a rabbit hole right there of a person. I found myself, by coincidence or not, looking upon the work of a transgressive artist like Kenneth Anger, and then here I am looking at the work and art of Peter Soto's, and his different mediums of writings and of music, and very fascinating guy. It's a case where it's hard to it's difficult to fully research, because he's a controversial figure where you look him up and it's a lot of people who are presenting more of their opinions than facts, so it's hard to draw your own opinion when you're only getting filtered throughout somebody else's, man. And I mean, understandably so. His work is upsetting. A lot of his work is upsetting to a lot of people, and they're going to have strong reactions to that. But I find that figures like him, artists like him, who do really risky, things like that, are some of the most interesting, by going off the beaten path. I had listened to his album, what the hell was it called? Buyer's Market, I believe is the name of it. Let me make sure I got that right here. Yeah, that's right. And it's a fascinating and unsettling album. It's not a musical album. It's about an hour long, and it's on YouTube from 1992, and it's all excerpts and dialogue from victims of, I believe, mostly sexual abuse. There's testimonies from parents who lost, there's a whole part about Ted Bundy and the parents who had lost their kids to Ted Bundy, and it's an unsettling hour there, but fascinating, all the best, man. You listen to some of it and it just gets under your skin. I was at work getting work done. I was all by myself on this building, just hearing some of these testimonials, these things that you just can't even imagine putting into words, and it's just a fascinating listen that I would recommend only if you are aware of what you're getting into, because it's definitely not going, when it's all said and done after that hour, I just found myself going, man, that was something else, man. Very interesting artist and interesting work, and I find it an interesting coincidence of these two artists entering my peripheral at so close of a time. Now, I had been familiar with Peter's work, specifically Pure Filth, previously, but I had never followed up on it. So the fact that now I had actually gone and done a bit more investigating into him and some of his writings, and how sincere any of it was. What I was saying before is that, you know, when Peter Sotos is talking about certain horrible acts, some people have said that he is sincere, others said that he is not. So whenever it comes to any sort of public controversial figure like this, you have to draw ultimately your own research, not even necessarily your own conclusions, but you have to your own conclusions in a shallow sense of obviously being subjective and not allowing yourself to be swayed by the first opinion that you read. You have to do your own research and then find out where it is you're going to fall on the spectrum for that. But fascinating stuff overall, man. Jeez Louise, man. Let me tell you. I'm definitely going to be keeping an eye on that for sure, though. For Pure Filth. I think, like I said, it might be, I think to my knowledge, it's very out of print. But either way, it is one that I will have to keep an eye out for, along with some of his other work. Let's get that up right here. All right, so the Oscars are coming up, and I don't know when that actually is. I don't know if it's this Sunday or the Sunday after that, and I took the time to go to the cinema to watch the Oscar shorts, the live-action and animated narrative shorts. I have yet to see the documentary shorts, and I wanted to use the opportunity to highlight some other shorts that I saw this year as part of the Manhattan Short Festival. It was 10 short films from around the world, and you go to the cinema, you watch these shorts, and then you cast your vote for which one was your favorite, which was the best performance, which was the best directed, and it was a total just blast. There of the 10 shorts, there was only, I think, one I didn't like. The other 9 were all very good in their own right. It's one of these things where when the Oscars got announced, I was surprised. I thought in the back of my head that there would be at least one of these terrific shorts nominated, but there were nothing. And I'm trying to actually find the list here so I can bring these up. The website is not great. Let's see here. I do apologize. I might have to pause this for a second because I cannot find this list, so bear with me for just a moment. Finally found it. All right, man. So of the 10 shorts, I want to highlight at least 5 that I think are worth your time. Actually, maybe there was 8 that I liked. Yeah, this one here I wasn't really too crazy about. So I'm going to highlight 5 that I found were great and I think are worth your time. So I think the one that won the festival overall, this website is not the best. Yes, the one that actually won, get a sip of this here, was The Treatment, directed by Alvaro Carmona. It's about 2 minutes long or so, 2 or 3 minutes long. And now I don't know where to see any of these, to my knowledge. I imagine that you should be able to go online and watch these, but I have no idea. But it's a comedic short about a man who goes to... Oh, geez, actually, I may not have as much time as I need to. So, I just ran out of time because I have to get this done at X amount of time. So, I'm going to save that for next week. I hope you guys all have a fantastic day. Make sure you are working on what it is you need to be working on so you will not look back and wonder where all the time went. Because I can tell you where the time went. It's right here waiting for you.